can you unmute when you are ready?
Yes, we're excited
We
to have
talk about
you.
why Gabbie is one of like my favorite guests, because
Hi, Gabbie.
the producer's dream. She replies right away, and then like I was like, oh, can you send clips? Boom, 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 like on it.
On top of it, we respect that.
Why she's doing pairs. This is good. Yes.
Yeah. How are you, Gabbie?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's good. So good to see you.
Yeah.
Where are you right now? Are you in the US, in Canada?
I'm in Montreal.
Okay.
So walk us through how this happened. When we last talked to you, you were getting ready. You were coming back to singles after your shoulder injury. You did compete at nationals. Talk us through what the last months have been like. We have so many questions, but you're really going to have to break all of this down for us.
Yeah. Okay. So I finished nationals with probably one of the worst trip partners of my life. So that was so much fun. And then I had a much better free skate. So that was kind of an exciting moment. And then when I got back home, I was kind of like, okay, I had to like sit down and I was like, where do I want to go from here? Do I want to continue in singles? I had been playing around with the idea of pairs. I had skated with a couple people back in Boston just to like kind of try out some things. And then I was like, okay, so I really enjoyed pairs. I really wanted to go forward with pairs. Singles was almost boring to a certain point. I was like, okay, how many more triplettes am I going to do? Like, I've had enough. I want something new. I want to learn something new. So at that point, I sat down with Olga and Alexei and they were like, okay, like we'll start looking for a partner. And then it became apparent that it was harder to get someone to come to Boston for XYZ. Like there were so many things going on. So I said, okay, I'll reach out to Drew because I know he has a really good program. I had talked to several people within US figure skating. And so I reached out to Drew and he said, we can like Danny O'Shea can work with you. Why don't you come out to Colorado for a bit? So I said, okay, like I'll go there for the summer. So then I was in Colorado for the summer and Drew and Danny were working on trying to get me tryouts and like just learning all the different elements there. And then in like late June, I was actually talking to Spencer and I was like, oh, like, you know, looking for a partner, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, one of my friends from when I trained in Montreal is looking for a partner. And I was like, oh, like, who is it? And then he said Thierry Ferland. And I had actually met him when we did Four Continents in Tallinn. Like I had met all of Spencer's friends from Montreal, which was kind of funny. And then I reached out to him, or Spencer reached out to him first. And then I reached out to him and he was like, well, can you come like next week for a tryout? And I was like, sure. So then I did a tryout and we skated like I think 2 days together before he was like, yeah, I'm ready to commit if you are. And I was like, oh yeah, for sure. And then it worked out because I have 1 year left of school, but I can study abroad at McGill starting in the winter, so that's nice. And then I kind of just packed up my stuff and I was like, okay, we're moving to Montreal.
So when did you officially move? When did you make that move?
Very end of June, beginning of July.
Okay.
Recently, yeah.
So couple questions. You were at a pair rink. We're dating Spencer, still dating Spencer. We still,
yeah.
What is that? People want to know. Okay. Now, Misha was also looking for a partner at the same time that you were looking for a partner. So did you two try out together? What that situation?
We never really had a tryout because Misha really wanted somebody with experience, which I totally understand. It's having now going through it, it's very hard to learn a lot of these elements. So looking for someone with experience, I understand. So he was looking for someone with experience and he was actually very helpful and he gave me a lot of lessons in learning stuff. I did my first throw triple with Misha. He taught me how to do a death spiral. We did basic lifts. So he was instrumental and like I cannot thank him enough for helping me through all that. But he was looking for someone with experience and I respected that. And then it kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, like Misha's finding a partner, Spencer's training family. Like I don't have anyone here really to teach me or to learn with. And like, I wasn't going to ask Alexei to start doing lifts or throws with me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go. And Drew at the moment had like the biggest pair program and like Brandon I believe he's in coaching in California now, but like he was still doing World Team Trophy and finishing up. So Danny was like, yeah, I can teach you. And Danny is wonderful. I cannot thank him enough again. Like he's Superman. Like he trains and then he also works with all the girls to like coach them as well. So I went out there and it's nice, Drew. Like you'll get to work with a lot of different people there. Like of course Natalia's there and she's incredible, but like you get to, like, if you're doing off ice, like all the guys will, if there's more girls than guys, as there usually is, like all the guys will cycle through and lifting all the girls. So you get experience if you're out there, which is nice.
Okay. Now, what about Balaj was also looking for a partner. Did you two actually try out together? I know you two were like on the market as like people that people were talking about looking for partners. Yeah.
We did have a tryout, yeah, but it was very early, so I did not really have any experience. So it was kind of like it was too early to tell if it would have ended up working out. And then when he obviously found somebody who's incredible and has a lot of experience, so I was like, yeah, that's the decision I would have made too at the moment.
Who did we see you? There were clips of you trying pair elements in Colorado with someone. Was
it Boston too, doing side by side triple toe?
I did some stuff with Misha.
Okay.
And then Colorado, when people's partners were like not there that day or stuff, like you just worked with different people. So I did stuff with, Lachlan, Lure, Luke Wang. I did some throws with Danny Newdecker. I did a lot of stuff with Danny O'Shea. Yeah, those were the four mainly.
Now, walk us through, what do you like about pairs so far? What are the challenges? How about physically, the falls? What's the level of soreness compared to singles? Like, walk us through this.
So it's really, really different. And I would say one of the hardest things is just learning how to skate with somebody else, because for so long, it's been me. Like if something doesn't feel right that day, like I have to overcome that myself. But now it's, what if somebody else doesn't feel right that day, and you have to deal with all the different factors that you feel within yourself, but now you're dealing with somebody else too. And you can't just jump. You have to look at when somebody else is going to put their toe pick in the ice and jump. And when you land, how are you going to step forward together? So that's been a learning curve. I think you're using like probably 25 different muscles that you didn't know that you had every day. So of course, like your glutes are sore from holding them up, and you have to deal, like just having the body awareness of I'm above the ice. I need to hold myself. And kind of my philosophy right now in lifts is like, how can I make his life as easy as possible? How can I hold myself so that it's easy for him and be strong? And like learning twist, of course, that's a brand new element. And everyone says like twist is always going to be the hardest thing to learn, but like you have to take it by steps and you break it down. And so certain things have been easier than others. Throws have come pretty easily. There is the tendency in throws, like I'll tend to over rotate them because they'll be bigger and I'll pull in really quick. And then those are some hard falls. But if the throw is, I haven't found that falling from throw is too terrible compared to falling from like a bad jump. Just depends on how you fall.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely different, but what I've loved is that there's always something new to work on. There's always something new. You can always keep pushing the envelope. And even if it's not pushing the envelope and, you're doing a quad twist, you're doing this, it's like, you can come up with some cool dance lifts or some cool pair spin position. Or when you're building a program, it's not just you playing with the judges anymore. It's your connection with somebody else and the judges. So there's just so much to do and you're just always learning. So that's definitely been something that's been a plus.
No. Seems like it's bringing more energy. Yeah, I was going to say energy to skating. Yes.
Yeah. Now, how do you decide like who counts and who's the leader? Like, does Thierry count because he did that before? Or like, do you get to be the Deanna? Because like, I would want to be the Deanna if I was doing this.
So in certain things, yes. And other things, I'm like, I don't have the experience. I trust you to do it. Like in the side-by-side spin and certain positions, I'll spot him. And other ones, I'm like, you do it. I've never had to be super specific and like, where am I going to step when I change feet? Like that takes a little bit of time to get used to. So for certain things, I'm like, just call it. Like, I trust you. For throws and stuff, it's my timing. It's usually like, I'm like, okay, this is how I want to do it. Like, that's how it's going to work. For twists, we've had to build the timing together, of course. For lifts, a lot of it is figuring it out together, but also just like me learning in general, like what the different positions mean and how do you build a level 4 and stuff like that. So it's been kind of a mixed bag of, and then of course, when you get a new partner, everything is different. As we've heard Brandon and Alexa say, like it's brand new with everybody. So he's had to learn my timing on certain things and I've had to learn the timing in general. So it's kind of a mixed bag of who leads and who follows. And yeah.
So now what is it like learning the twist? Because it's supposed to be the scariest. So where are you in that process? And are you doing it more off ice, on ice? Walk us through that journey.
Definitely start off the ice. That's what I've heard from most people. I started off the ice. You do a lot of exercises at first because the feeling of like you're rotating on more of a horizontal axis is kind of wild. And you'll hear a lot of guys when they try and explain it, they'll be like, oh, it's just like a single axle the other way in the air. And I'm like, it feels absolutely nothing like that. That is not what it feels like. So, but I mean, I credit a lot to Danny O'Shea and I worked with Chris Kinnearm on it as well. And like just getting more comfortable in like, okay, you're doing a lot of singles, you're doing a lot of pop-ups where you just like jump and you do the split. You're doing a lot of figuring out how to hold yourself so you're not kind of letting all your weight fall on top of the guy. Like, how can you push when they're pushing? And of course, like the split, that gets you the level that almost nobody, like that's the hardest level to get. So you want to develop the split early and figure out how to rotate. But every single person has a different philosophy when it comes to twist. So, and every twist looks a little bit different. So it's trying to figure out like, okay, how am I going to develop the best twist where hopefully one day I could get a triple twist level 4? How is that going to look for me? How is it going to look with each person I do it with? So that's been interesting. And then of course, kind of like that fear factor, like the first couple times you're going for double off the ice or on the ice, it's kind of like, you don't know how it's going to feel. It's trusting somebody else to catch you, which is strange too. And then eventually as it starts to get more comfortable, you start to open it up, it gets more on an angle, and like double twist now is very comfortable. Like it can always be bigger and always be better, but double twist is comfortable with the hopes of starting triple soon. But I would say from what I've heard, people always say the jump from single to double is much bigger than double to triple, but we'll see.
Why do they say that is? Why is it single to double?
Because you have to, it's almost like relearning how to do an axle, and like you figure out it's a different way that you snap your hips because your center of gravity and like your axis of rotation is going up instead of like snapping over to your right. And also for me, it was weird because your arms are like around yourself instead of like
instead of this way. Yeah.
So I would say, and also probably just the fear factor, because like double to triple, you just pull in tighter and hope that someone fair catches you on the catch. Single to double, it's like there's a lot of mechanical things that happen differently. Like now you're bending your knee and you're pulling your right hip through instead of just kind of splitting and rotating with the momentum. Now it's like you have to generate the momentum yourself.
Yeah, some rotation. Yeah.
So you are skating together now, you said for about 6 or 7 weeks when you sent me the clips of the two of you, which we'll show in a second. What is the plan? Like, what are you, do you think about when you're going to compete together? Do you have programs? Like what?
Yeah. So we do have programs, and we will be doing our short at a local competition at the end of September. And then we'll be doing like challenge and sectionals and like Canadian nationals.
Okay. How is the process of becoming Canadian? Because I know it took Deanna a couple of years to even get where she is right now. So I did hear that you were released though, right? Is that correct? Or what is the...
We don't have like a confirmed date on the actual release, but the process has been started, and like the federations are working together, but we don't have like a set. So I know it won't be this year, but we don't have like a set solid date for international competition, but we can do everything domestically. But obviously it takes time to build a pair team, especially with someone with no experience. So there's pros and cons to it.
What are your side-by-sides that you're planning? What are your throws? Because obviously you can do all of the triples. So yeah.
So we're definitely planning to kind of push the envelope. So we're going side-by-side flip for sure. We're trying to get those like a triple and then the double axle because we're so many points now. And then we're going loop in, let's throw, just because those are more comfortable for me and they're worth more points. So
I will show the clip and you can kind of walk us through. Yeah, Jenny asked.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and what can you tell us about your programs? Who choreographed them? What are you skating to?
programs are done by Julie Marcotte, who I love. She's excellent. And the music is kind of something I'm like, oh, I want to wait for when we're like doing a show in Boston, Evening with Champions, and we'll do our short there. That will be exciting. I will say they're definitely different pieces for me in general. Like it's dynamic and it's different, but our short is a classic, and I think.
Watch live sports with no hidden fees.
There. My screen went weird. Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you can see, Gabbie, can you see what we're watching?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is your throw lutz.
Oh, pause. Can you rewind? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
With,
Wow, that was nice.
Yeah.
like
It looks so easy. Sorry.
You're good. Like flip and lutz are the same in pairs. They count for the same. So for me, I'm like, I need to think of it as a throw lutz. Otherwise it gets like very tight over my right side. And Danny O'Shea, because I was trying throw flip for so long, and Danny O'Shea was just like, think of it as a lutz, and like instantly it changed. So that's just some of his magic right there.
Why is it different for you when you think of it as a lutz? What is it?
It just allows me to pull my left side through more and let it finish, so I can use my knee more instead of like getting stuck over my right side. And it gives Thierry the time to like get out of the way and like pull me through instead of I just rotate quick. So
your throws look so comfortable.
Yeah.
And you guys have really good unison. Sorry. Like, I'm so impressed.
If you set up the pattern the same, and if you guys set like the team sets the timing together, like unless something like things always go wrong and this and that, like once you're in the air, it feels very similar to a jump.
I've always wondered though, does it feel on the landing, is it harder to control because you obviously have more height and speed, or is it you just kind of land the same way as?
That since I did loop combos as a single skater, I feel like the landing has been easier for me to catch because I've had to check so hard to my right and like use my knee, and the knee comes up and out. And I think that's almost the same action as you would take on a loop combo. So interestingly enough, I think that's helped. I'd say there's definitely more impact, of course. Someone told me it's like 27 times your body weight, which I thought was a crazy amount, but you definitely have to be like more prepared and like more stable as you come down. But the like pull in and the check out, once you get to that position, it's pretty similar. I found it.
So given that, what does your off face routine look like now as a pair skater?
So it's a lot of, I mean, you work with your partner a lot of twist exercises, twist and double twist, eventually triple twist and all that. And then a lot of lifts off the ice. You try almost all the lifts off the ice before they go on the ice. A lot of Pilates I found is really helpful because it's just holding really strong positions and build like different stability that you need while also keeping that flexibility. And then obviously like the regular like cardio and core and all that jazz.
Well, you practice with one of our favorite divas and friends to show, but what is it like training with Deanna every day? Is she as intense as we imagine, or is she more relaxed than we would expect?
She is, honestly, it's an inspiration to train with. Like, it's so nice. I've always, like, you're a product of your environment, and to train with her is just incredible. She pushes the envelope, as we see when they compete, and they train hard, and they want it just like every athlete. And I think she's incredible, and I love training with her.
What color tights was she wearing the last couple days? Because she likes to wear flashy colored outfits.
It's always something different, and I absolutely love it. Okay. I'm like, the color, it's incredible because I'm so used to everyone skating in black, and then I walked in and it had some bright colors, and I was like, I love it.
Okay. Now, what is Josee Picard like? Because I've met her once, a couple times, but I went to the rink when she's there. She's definitely an intimidating but like forceful presence. What has she been like as a coach?
I found that all the coaches here are just like they've all been super welcoming, and like in the fact that like I don't have the experience, and they've all been very supportive in how I'm learning, especially, and like Julie and Josee, and they push you just like any coach, and they want the best for you. But I found that there is a certain level of like, how do I put this? Like, they treat, it's different because we're older. Like, I'm older now, and there is an element of like, you know what you're supposed to be doing, and I'm just here to help you along to do that, instead of I'm holding your hand through every step of the way.
Not a lot of micromanaging or trying to control, just kind of trusting.
We are professional athletes, and it comes down to us to really want it. So we have to push ourselves, and the coaches and the federations and off-ice trainers and everybody, they're just here to help facilitate that. And that usually is how the best athletes are born, for lack of a better phrase.
No, why did you find that people don't want to go to Boston to train? I mean, it's such a beautiful rink. Is it just kind of the cost of living, or what is, that situation?
I think the cost of living is high. I think there are a ton of different factors that are involved there too. I just think, honestly, I think the cost of living is probably one factor. I think just in general, like, for example, like more people are drawn to Colorado because US Figure Skating's headquarters are there, and more people are in California because it's California and there are the beaches. So I think there are factors that are involved there. I just found like mainly it was like, okay, I don't really have many people to train with right now in Boston, and I need to learn if I ever want to get a partner, because a lot of guys say they need someone with experience. And I was like, okay, well, I need to train or compete at least to get some experience. So that was the main reason.
Yeah. So how do you finally feel like settled? Did you feel like a nomad for a while living out of a suitcase, or where did you stay in Colorado?
So I actually stayed with friends from like a family that I knew from when I actually trained with Mark and Peter. They had ended up moving out to Colorado, so I stayed with them. But I had driven my car from Boston to Colorado. And then I think maybe 4 or 5 weeks later, I drove my car from Colorado to Montreal. And I was like, oh my God, I can't spend any more time in my car. Like shifting around, I was like, okay, I'm in different time zones. I'm on a coast, now I'm not on a coast, and now I'm back on a coast, but I'm in a different country. So there's definitely a lot of shifting around. I feel like things are starting to settle, and I'm getting into the like, okay, I'm in Montreal. Everyone speaks French. I don't speak French. This is kind of weird. But it's settling down.
Are you working on French? Are you doing Duolingo? Like, what are you doing about the French situation?
Only gets you so far. I'm hoping when I go to like McGill, I'll take some French classes there, but they also like, it's French here, but it's not French, it's Quebecois. So like sometimes they speak so fast and I'm like, I'm not gonna try. Sometimes I'm like, no. Other times I'm like, yeah, I understand some. But they speak with their hands a lot, which is nice when we're on the ice. Like they'll like draw patterns and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I understood that.
Yeah.
Gabbie, how is it doing a pair program versus a singles program? Like, how do you pace yourself, and what is the stamina like? You go from
thing I am trying to figure out, because a lot of people say for the girl it's easier than a singles program because you're not jumping like 7 times and you have those quote unquote breaks when you're doing a lift or something. But I am still learning how to breathe in a lift, so for me I'm like holding my breath for like 20 seconds. But I think it's definitely going to take some time to figure out the pacing of like, okay, where can I kind of back off, take a second and breathe and get ready for the next element, because there is that element of like safety. Like I need to be prepared so it's safe for him and safe for me. So that's something that I think comes with, you run the sections and you figure it out. You run, I think you run the sections, you run the program again and again until you figure it out. I mean, that's something that I hope comes with time as I figure it out.
Yeah.
How far, where are you in that process? Like, are you doing full shorts yet? Full shorts minus elements? Like, where are you?
A lot of full shorts. Sometimes you leave out 1 or 2 elements. You sections of the free skate and just building upon that. I think in pairs, you definitely have to take a step back and build more than you just would in singles. Like in singles, sometimes you're like, I'm just going to go for a full free skate and see what happens. Definitely can't do that in pairs. So there's definitely more of a building process, which is probably safer and better for everybody.
Have you thought about costumes and designs and who's making your costume?
I can't hear her.
I think maybe you
know
muted
what?
yourself.
She just muted herself somehow when she. How do I unmute?
There we go. Sorry.
Right.
So this year, because we're not competing too much, I think we're doing like 3.5 competitions. So I'm just going to use my dresses from last year, just a couple like minor modifications to make them more like suitable for pairs. And then he happened to have some shirts that were similar enough, and we were like, that's good for this season. And then next season we'll build from there.
That's smart. Yeah.
Smart. Yeah. Save money.
So now, are you taking fall semester off from Harvard? Because someone was asking if you were going to commute from Harvard to Montreal. Yeah.
No, I think that would be but I am taking the fall semester off just because, like, by the time I had figured out that I was going to be in Montreal, there like wasn't enough time to get the study abroad all set. So I'll be starting in late January.
So can you do one semester abroad, or can you do two? Because you said you had a year left. You can do two. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay. What's your major?
So it's pre-law.
Oh, okay.
But I've done my like core, so a lot of it is like elective. So it's like I could take French, history of, I don't know, who knows.
Just getting those credits in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you definitely thought about how long in your mind have you thought like planning skating, or how much longer you'll skate for? Like, has that changed in your mind?
I mean, the goal is this cycle and definitely the next cycle. I think that was longer than I had intended for singles for sure. But seeing someone like Diana, or seeing even Alexa, like people pushing the envelope of like Alyona too, like pushing the envelope of like how long you can go in pairs and singles or any. So I think definitely this cycle and the next cycle, and I'll go from there. But it takes a while to build a pair team and to learn all the elements in pairs. So I definitely want to give us a fair chance in that regard.
What's it like learning to work with someone else when they're getting tired as well? Because I can just like imagine you're new, you're learning these elements, and everyone's getting tired at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, there is that element of like, for example, in twist, like if you're doing a single or a double or a triple, the guy's job is the same. He is giving the same amount of energy. He is pushing with everything he has. So in a case like this, where I have to do so many reps to try and learn it, I would say there is that element of like, okay, today we kind of have to back off. Like we're both sore, we're both tired. Like, okay, let's work on perhaps something else. But nice thing with pairs is there's always something to work on.
How would you describe your personalities like together? How do you guys mesh?
I think we need to be mic'd up when we train, because I think it's the funniest thing. When I first started, I spent so much of the time laughing, because like the funniest things happen in pairs. Like you will take falls that like you just slip off your edge, and you guys like, he'll trip me, I'll trip him. Like so many things go wrong sometimes. So I think we have a lot of fun when we're doing it, which is good, but we also push each other. And I mean, that's what you need, but we have the same goals, and we have the same, like, okay, we need to work to get to those goals. It's not just going to like happen and drop out of the sky. So I think that's been nice. And like, we're going to take it step by step, but there is a goal in sight. So it's not just like mindless wandering.
Yeah, but you're both, it sounds, driven, and you know where you want to go in the future.
Do you have a favorite element to practice so far?
I mean, actually twist is kind of getting up there, just because like to see the improvement of it is like really nice. And to be like, okay, a month ago, like I could not even imagine ever being ready to do a triple. And now I'm like, okay, we're getting there. So I think twist is up there. I mean, I think throws are really fun when you catch that edge on the way out and it just glides. Pair spin is also pretty fun when you figure out like the right amount of tension and you get that speed. I would say side-by-side spin is not very fun, as we can see. Like that no team enjoys doing that. Death spirals are actually one of the harder elements to figure out, just because the body position is so funky. Like how you create the tension of pulling your hip away, but also he has your arm. So I would say death spiral is one of those things that like you just have to do 10 million of them before it feels comfortable.
When did you first decide or think about, when did you become pair curious, I guess is the way? Yeah.
Probably a little bit before nationals. So it was like kind of in my brain. So at nationals, there was also that like, probably, and I'm sure it definitely showed in the short program, a little bit of like, oh, like I'm kind of done with this. I want to be doing pairs. Like I want to be doing something new. So definitely before nationals. And then after nationals, like I worked with Misha and everything, but it was a lot of like, okay, I really need to work on my triple saw and my triple toe, because I never really did those before. So I spent like a month or two just working on those a ton. And then I went out to Colorado April-ish.
Now, why didn't you do toe or cell before? Now, I know that some skaters over the last 10 years, like don't practice toe at all, like even like double toe, like their coaches just go right to double loop. So what was kind of your process in that journey?
I was always more comfortable with with loop, flip, and lutz. Like those were always like, oh, those are my go-to, and it just was worth more points. So there was like no point if you're gonna do 7 triples in a long or 6 triples in a long, like go for a loop, which is worth 5 points versus a style, which is not worth that much. And then so there was kind of that, and then it became clear, like once you could start doing the axles, then axle combos, I was like, okay, well now you can do 7 triples in a long without having to do 2 triple triples or a triple triple. So then this year it was kind of like, okay, then I can work on a sal and a toe to put in the free skate. So, and then once I was like, oh, I'm curious in pairs, then Olga and Alexa were like, okay, you definitely need like to work on your sal and toe then. Okay. But now they're comfortable and it's fine. But it definitely like took a while of like doing 10 million of them.
Have you thought, Gabbie, about competing against Spencer and what that will be like, and how involved has he been?
He's been super supportive, and like he was definitely like someone I would go to if I had questions about pairs or anything. And he was like honest, and he goes, it's not always easy, it's not always pretty, but like I think it's worth it. Obviously he's incredible at it. And so I mean, I haven't really thought about competing against him, but like in singles you compete against your friends and people you're close to all the time, and it's just when you're on the ice competing, you go into like a completely different headspace where like for me, like nothing else exists. So like the minute that music starts, nothing else exists, and you just go from there.
I competed against someone I dated, and it's all fine until you start to get close in ability, you know? So you just have to hope that he's done. Yeah.
Well, at least we're not going to be country.
Yeah. It won't be a nationals like you're both trying to win the title or make the world team or whatnot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we were going to wish you so much luck. So when is your summer competition? Like, tell us, and we will be watching.
Yes.
To Evening with Champions, which is September 8th and 9th. Everyone should go if they can. And then we're competing locally, just our short program. It's like September 21st.
Okay. So I'm sure we'll find videos, and we'll be very excited to see.
Canada. That's what I heard. They're like, everything is streamed. And I was like, great. In the US, it's like you pay. Here, they're like, everything is streamed. It's professional. There's a kiss and cry. I was like, got it.
Yeah, much nicer than what we've gotten from the US this season so far.
We'll definitely be watching you, and we wish you so much luck in this pair journey. So come back anytime, and we'll check in. Yeah.
Thank you, Gabbie. It was so good to see you again.
Bye.